David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today I have for you one of the latest releases from the Japanese manufacturer Wancher. It is the latest release in their Dream Pen lineup and is called the Echizen Urushi Sakura, which thankfully for me is rather easy to pronounce. My mouth doesn't always do well with non-English words. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this new pen, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. I'll also be showing you two new Wancher inks made in conjunction with Sailor. Thanks go out to the good folks at Wancher for providing this pen for review. The original Dream Pen was released 5 years ago. It really doesn't feel that long ago. It seems like our perspective of time has become a bit warped over these last few years. But after its original release, Wancher has produced a number of varieties on what I'll call the Dream Pen base. There's been some really cool versions which I have reviewed, and I'll show you a few of them during the size comparisons. One of the things I like about Wancher is that while they produce a variety of different versions of the Dream Pen, they also are continually producing other interesting and unique pens as well that are not based on the Dream Pen model. And I'll show you a few of those during the writing sample as well. So what has Wancher produced this time around? It comes in this nice, soft wooden box. I really like these wood boxes. As an American, I relate these boxes to cool things originating from Japan. You typically don't see these types of boxes coming from other places in the world. Inside, we have some documentation. It actually has QR codes where you can find the instructions as well as warranty information. There is the cutest little packet of 3 ink cartridges. And then we have this nice kimono sleeve. And inside this sleeve, we have a pen. This is the Wancher Echizen Urushi. This pen is made from ebonite. Echizen Urushi is made in the Echizen region of Japan. The lacquer used to make Echizen Urushi is produced from the sap of the Urushi tree. It's known for its high quality and durability as well as a lustrous finish. If you're not familiar with how Urushi is applied, it's done in very thin layers. Each layer must be allowed to dry completely before the next one is applied. The process can take several months to complete for a single pen. One thing I like about Urushi pens like this is that if you look very close under magnification or a loupe, you can see the brush strokes from the artisan. It's rather difficult to get a decent picture of that on this reflective black surface, but it's something I like to see on all Urushi pens, not just this particular one from Wancher. The distinguishing feature of this Echizen model are the cherry blossom flowers. It uses a screen printing technique called Oshida Makie, so these are not hand painted. I do like the technique here used to add depth and vibrance to the blossoms. These are the blossoms of the Kawazu Sakura, which is a type of cherry blossom which is known for producing early blooming flowers. It's native to the Izu Peninsula in Japan. Unlike the majority of cherry blossom flowers that are often pictured as pale white or light pink blooming in the mid-spring when the temperatures start to rise, Kawazu Sakura has a large flurry of dark pink cherry blossom. In addition, the Kawazu Sakura trees have a great deal of cultural and historical significance in Japan. I like how some of these blossoms overlap with one another. On the smaller pink blossoms, at first I thought the little specks you saw were imperfections in the printing, but that's not the case. Those silver specks are reflective material placed there intentionally. I think what I like most about this is the variety. There are 3 distinct flowers with different colors and textures. I feel like against this deep black background, the blossoms really stand out, but don't provide such a stark contrast as to feel out of place. Okay, let's take a look at the parts of this pen. The top of the cap is rounded. The barrel angles up for the majority of its length, straightening out only for the last ½ inch or so. There's no cap band or exterior branding on this pen. there is a medium-sized step down to the barrel, which is straight for the first couple of inches before gently tapering down, and the end of the barrel, it is rounded. Just like the top of the cap, but the end is slightly smaller in circumference. The cap twists off with 1.5 rotations. On these Dream Pen models, there is a spring-loaded inner cap, which helps prevent the nib from drying out. Over time, I've experienced a bit of variety in regard to the compressive strength of the spring. Essentially, the force necessary to compress this spring. On some models, I've found the spring to be a bit more firm, requiring a higher amount of pressure in order for the threads to make contact with one another. I find the spring on this model to be a bit more moderate. You can certainly feel its presence, but it's not so strong that you feel like the cap is going to leap off if you're not careful. Once you have removed the cap, you are presented with this number 6 JoWo stainless steel gold-plated nib. There are a number of options with this nib. The JoWo nibs are available in extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and either a 1.1 or 1.5 millimeter stub. The JoWos are also available in a polished stainless steel. Wancher also has their in-house nibs. They have both polished and gold-plated stainless steel available in a semi-flex hard fine. For an additional cost, they also have an in-house 18-karat gold nib, either rhodium-plated or solid gold, and those are available in either medium or broad. And I do like those gold nibs from Wancher. They're really nice. And here's a look at the plastic feed. With JoWo nibs, you have the option of either a black or red ebonite feed as well at an additional cost. I believe the in-house nibs for both gold and stainless steel are only available with the plastic feed. The section begins with a minimal flare and angles up until you reach the narrow cap threads and a rather large step up to the remainder of the barrel, which is tempered by the stair-step design. The section does feel comfortable in the hand. It's not slippery at all, and the pen is long enough to use unposted. It's not designed to post, which is fine. With Urushi being a natural material, I really don't like to post Urushi pens in fear that it might damage the material over time. This is a cartridge converter pen. As you saw earlier, 3 standard international cartridges are provided, and a converter is included as well. With metal parts being present in the section housing, eyedropping this pen would not be recommended. The Wancher Dream Pen Echizen Urushi Sakura is available on the Wancher website. I'll put a link to it in the notes below, and it retails for $300. I do feel that that's a reasonable price for what you receive with this pen. I care for the Dream Pen shape, and I feel that these Sakura blossoms add a nice pop of color. Even though this is a pen with a bunch of flowers on it, I feel it looks very classy and can be appreciated and enjoyed by both men and women. Okay, now it is time to take a look at some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample where I will show you a closer look at those Sailor inks available exclusively through Wancher. So here we go with some size comparisons for the Echizen Urushi Sakura. I want to give you another close-up look. I kind of like how some of these overlap, and I like how some of the flowers are filled, and then there's the outline of other flowers. I just think it's a nice combination, and it looks kind of classy, like I said, on this black pen. In regard to a few of the other Dream Pen variations that I mentioned, this one here, we had the Mirakai, which I really like. And then this one here is a metal version, and that's called the Stardust. But I think my favorite of them is the Kiei Urushi. And this one actually has a leaf application on it. That's just a real leaf that was applied there. And I just think it is gorgeous and looks beautiful. And I believe they started producing those again. So I haven't checked, but if you could ever get your hands on one of those, I enjoy it greatly. In regard to some other Wancher pens that aren't in the Dream Pen lineup, first of all, we have the Primo. This is a nice metal pen, a large one. Then this one here was the Kaleido. There's reviews of all of these pens on my channel. Another one of my favorites was this one here, which was the Sekai Suguru. I just thought that the Urushi treatment on this one was really cool looking. And then probably one of my favorite Wancher pen that I have in my collection, which is the Japan Blue, which in essence is a partnership with Sailor, and it is kind of a metal pro gear with this hammered metal exterior. It's just a really cool technique and a really cool pen. Okay, I know this is a lot of size comparisons, but for some pens that are not Wancher pens, this is the Namiki Yakuri Royale, and then we have the Nakaya Dorsal Fin 2, and then finally here is the Pilot Custom 845. And then in regard to some uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Nakaya Dorsal Fin. And then here it is with the Pilot Custom 845. And finally, here it is with the Namiki Yukari Royale. Here we go with the writing sample for the Wancher. And this is the Echizen, E-C-H-I-Z-E-N, Urushi. And this is a broad stainless steel nib. And the ink that I'm using here today is Wancher. We'll say Wancher Sailor. And it is R-Y-O-K-U-F-U-U. Roikufu. Roikufu. Yeah, Roikufu. This is what the ink looks like. It's a nice green with a couple of drops of blue in it. It's very similar to Diatromina Sandalwood. And then here it is with Colorverse Photon, which seems just like a lighter version of that same shade. This is what the box looks like. Inside, we have the ink. This is a nice 50 milliliter bottle. I like these bottles more than Sailor standard ink bottles that are very shallow. I have a hard time getting a lot of ink out of there. So I appreciate this deeper size in here, and it's easier to get a better quality of ink out of there. There is also another color, which is this darker blue called Kazahana, and that's what that bottle looks like as well. Okay, here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I find this broad nib to be very smooth. It just has a touch of feedback to it. It did railroad just a little bit there. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of there. If you push it, you can say it was railroading just a little bit. But under normal writing situation, I haven't had that happen at all. In regard to ink flow, I'd say that it's decent. In regard to reverse writing, it's a little scratchy, but it gets the job done. And in regard to some fast writing, there's no issue whatsoever. So there we have the Wancher Echizen Urushi Sakura. I think this is a really interesting addition to the Dream Pen lineup. And there's a link in the notes below where you can check this out on the Wancher site. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.